The following episode contains or may contain spoilers. So if you're spoiler sensitive, maybe beware.
Yeah, you sensitive people.
Get out.
No, get in.
Cool.
All right.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What's happening?
I think we're under attack. What the fuck?
I think somebody's nailing something.
Welcome to the FANtom Zone. 3 fans, 1 podcast, and a sea of comics, and Kayla's under attack.
I was going to say, that's the one good thing about us all being separate right now. Is that
You mean if
Well,
I
can't kill-
suddenly just stop talking, I'm dead, but you guys won't be dead.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not, God forbid anything happen to you, Caleb, but I was just like, I'm glad I'm not. It's like, we've diversified our resources, so we're only going to lose a third of our podcast power. And, you know.
Okay, I'm Noah.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Jared.
And this is our anniversary episode. We've done this twice, but for you, it's the first time you're hearing it. Yeah. I don't know. An attempt at celebration.
Those are
Cool.
I love Kayla's sound effects. They're so cool. Did you hear that?
Oh my god.
Yes, so it is our anniversary episode. Been doing this for a whole damn year. It's been so long.
You sounded so exhausted.
I'm just like, this episode has been a pain in the ass.
That's the difference between our workload, by the way, I think, is that like man, we've done a year, and like, yeah, and I was like, kill me.
Yeah.
Noah is our leader.
It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. We got this time. So pretty much just to set up what this episode's going to be like. So we asked everybody to send us questions from comic book related stuff to not related stuff, to comics, and you guys delivered. So we have a bunch of questions that we need to answer.
We asked people on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I asked a bunch of homeless guys that live under a bridge near my apartment, and we're gonna answer this question.
So I'll ask the questions, and then we'll answer. If it's directed towards somebody, then they'll answer. I won't say some people's names because I didn't ask their permission. But y'all Patreon members that are Patreon, I've already said your name, so I'm going to say your name on here. So sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess we should jump right into it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like talking about me and my opinions.
Yeah.
So there is.
Wait, Noah. Wait,
What?
Noah.
What?
Okay, go.
Oh, I hate you. Okay.
I'm ready. I'm ready now. Go.
Okay, so one question that was asked to us is, why did we decide to make this podcast? I don't know. No.
Oh, well, I can tell this story because I've always told this story and I love this story.
Go ahead.
Where Noah and Jared had already kind of decided to do this thing, and then they were like, we need a token girl. Just kidding. But they were just like, who else can be on the podcast with us that likes comics? And then Noah asked, and I was like, I don't know. I'll get back to you. And then I was like, what the hell am I thinking? Of course I want to talk about comics once a week. So then I said yes. And yep. I really like that the podcast kind of got me back into comics, if I'm honest. I used to be like a kind of a spotty reader. I would go in like every other month and pick up a shit ton of comics and then read them through. But it wouldn't be as regular as it is now. So I have the FANtom Zone to definitely thank for I don't know, just I go kind of once a week now to check things out. So
Hell yeah. Like a good comic book reader.
And that's very true too, because Noah asked me or the way between us, like Noah's like, we're making a podcast, and I was like, okay. But then we were like, well, we need a third because it just doesn't really feel like it's the kind of thing that's just like a conversation between two people.
Mm-hmm.
So we need like another perspective. And it was like outside of Caleb, there was like nobody else that we thought would have like the combination of like, okay, they could actually bring something to the little podcast table. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they would be have different enough perspective between the two of us, and then also like have some sense about how writing works or something like that.
Yeah.
But just not a lot of people out there that you would want on this podcast, I think.
Yeah, I was really hoping the whole time because I was talking to Kayla through the process of like what I was thinking, and I kept like nudging her, like, you're a writer, like it'd be good to like have a writer's perspective, right? And Kayla would be like, yeah, it would be. I'm like, you're a writer, Kayla. But then it also came down to like who would be good to talk to this long. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't many people that came to mind where I was like, I don't know if I want to talk to him this much and like this long. But like only you two really.
Friends, so.
Yeah.
Or can talk, by the way, because that's the other thing. Is like there's a lot of people that are just a little bit more introverted and have a problem, especially when they're almost on the spot, like marshaling their words towards a point of view. I think that's actually a little bit more challenging than people think, at least in terms of like whether people feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Oh, these are going to start easy, and then they're going to get hard because these people ask some hard questions. So,
cool.
Somebody on Instagram asked, "How do you guys choose topics to discuss?" Actually, a few people asked that. Does it seem organized, guys? That's why you're asking it, or does it not? And that's why you're asking it.
Yeah, we're super on the ball about that.
I mean, most of the time we are. So when we were coming up with all the ideas, the name, and like what we were going to do, and all the topics and stuff we wanted to talk about, we made this like master podcast spitballing Google Doc, and just wrote at least like 50 episode topic ideas, from just general topics and themes to like deep dives on characters we want to do. And we kind of just go through it like if there's not a movie or an event or something happening where we're kind of forced to talk about, then we'll just be like, yeah, we feel like talking about pets today. We'll do that.
That big master list was really just, it's like a brainstorming thing. So it's sort of like anything that could sound like it might begin to inspire an episode, we just put on there, and then we just kind of use that as a way of like thinking through like what we'd want to do. Just like Noah said, a lot of like when we decide to do certain episodes has a lot to do with like what's going on in the comic book community at the time. So it's like we might want to do an episode on, let's say, the Joker or something like that. And we might all want to do that, but we know that there's a Joker movie coming up in like 4 months. And so we say like, okay, well, we'd rather be engaged in that discussion and be timely about it. So we'll just move it back. So we kind of, organize it in that way.
Yeah.
Well, plus the Patreons get to choose an episode topic. So we try to work that in. And, we also kind of do it where like if all of us are super busy, we're kind of like, okay, which one seems like we can do a little bit of research and still know what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's up to the listeners to decide which ones are off of our head episode. Probably.
I'm sure they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only person, so we have one Patreon deep dive to do, but they wanted us to do the Eternals, and I was like, you're gonna have to wait a bit because that movie's coming out, and like, but yeah.
And then I think the other thing to say about that is like we have to figure out like what level of sort of like generality, because if you've noticed, like we have different episodes that like some are deep dives of specific characters, and we've like developed kind of formats for those. And then some are spotlights, some are a bit more conceptual. So yeah, it's and what's funny is like when the Patreon they pick like a episode. Sometimes it's so specific we have to widen the scope a little bit. It'll be like assassins written in the 1980s who all have a bum leg. It's like, okay, we're gonna have to maybe broaden that out a bit,
expand the year a bit, and then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then this next question is also from Instagram. What is your favorite episode you've done thus far?
I know
Mine
my
goes
answer.
back and forth.
I'm okay. I'll probably, and surprisingly, my favorite one is not the Flash deep dive, but the Aquaman deep dive.
Interesting.
Because people found it turtly awesome.
Oh my god. No, not again. Not the puns.
That's why I loved it so much. We had so many puns in that one. I think that was one of our first deep dives, and people were actually quoting our puns, so it was a lot of fun.
and making more up and posting them on the comment section. It was awful.
It was amazing. All right, what about you guys?
Well, Kayla, you know what yours is. What's yours, Kayla?
Yeah, mine's. I think there were two of them, and we picked specific. I can't remember what the episode's called, but it was towards the beginning. I think it was maybe like the 4th or 5th episode where we picked specific events that took place in like the DC universe and the Marvel universe.
Oh, episode 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like deep diving events, I always find, I don't know, I feel really accomplished after those episodes because I feel like it just came off really well researched, where I know some of the time it's where the format or information is a little bit looser and it's a little bit more casual. But those episodes when we deep dive specific events, I was just like, wow, we sound like we know what we're talking about. So
That's always
I
a
was
nice
super impressed
feeling.
with us.
What about you,
Well,
Jared?
obviously it's the Thor deep dive.
Ugh.
Ha 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 ha. No, not really. Hey, you didn't like that episode? No, what's going on?
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I really like doing that one, but I think for the quality, I kind of probably the LGBT episode.
Oh, the history and
one.
comics?
I think we did 2 of them, but it's the one that was like because we did LGBT couples, which was good, but like the one about the way that queer-itude and LGBT-ness has been like has evolved through the history of comics. I really like that. I also really the most fun for me, I think, weirdly enough, was the mercenaries, assassins, and bounty hunters one.
That was a good one.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I love talking about Lobo.
Yes. So it's like the two polls. One was like super fun to do, and the other one was like, oh wow, I really like learned something through doing the research for this episode. So those are probably the ones that stand out for me.
Okay. So this one I'm not too sure on what they're necessarily asking. So Natalie, which is a good friend of Jared and I's, and she listens to the podcast a lot, she asks, what is your favorite karaoke song? So I don't know if she's talking about our favorite character's favorite karaoke song or ours. So we'll just go with ours because it's a 2-parter.
What kind of question is this?
So you guys go ahead.
I mean, well, no one knows what mine is because we've been to karaoke together and I only ever sing one song.
And it's so good.
And it's Part of Your World by from The Little Mermaid. So
Yes. I love it. What about you, Jared?
Money Talks, Money Talks. I know. Forever in Blue Jeans by Neil Diamond.
Oh,
And-
showing your age.
Well, no, but and last time we recorded this, and it didn't get recorded, and this is probably why. I sang it and for a little bit, and I was like, "Don't sing it." So I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna. Money talks, but it don't sing and dance, and it don't. Whoa.
now we can't use this recording.
Yeah.
either, Jared.
That's probably
That's
why
probably what-
your audio
Yeah.
got fucked up.
My computer's on fire right now. I don't know. Is that bad?
All right.
Is that bad right now?
So the second part to this is whose favorite would win in a bake-off? Mine. Mine would. I would.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
not.
no,
that's
what
not a
was your
fair
karaoke
question.
Song?
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
so Poor Unfortunate Souls. So Little Mermaid also. I love.
Oh, wow.
I love it. I don't sing it, but I love it when people sing it.
Oh, that's also a lot of people who haven't seen what we look like. Noah is a big, fat purple lady. I don't know if you guys know.
I'm a
That
sea
is
witch.
actually true.
I'm a sea witch.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
I wish I was a sea witch. Shit. So whose favorite character would win in a bake-off? Definitely mine. I mean,
If it was timed, but I don't know.
hey,
Trained by Batman, you have to be pretty studious. He could follow really good directions.
well, if my favorite character could rebuild an entire city without people knowing, I'm sure he can make a mean souffle.
Oh my god, that's not cooking talent. Has nothing to do with rebuilding a city. Thank you.
Well, my favorite character would probably hit your cake with a hammer. So how about that?
That's, I guess, fine. All right. So next question, they get a little harder.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Who's your ideal team up? 5 characters, any publisher is valid. And this is from Wes Robertson. So thank you, Wes. He follows the podcast and is a Patreon member. You're amazing. So whoever wants to go first.
I'm gonna let Kayla go. Kayla's going.
What? No.
It's all about
okay.
Kayla. Yeah.
Oh fuck! I had a good answer last time, and I can't remember what it was. I know that I jokingly said the Robins, please. Just let me have a team up with the Robins. I just need more interaction on all fronts. But then I think I said something like, I can't remember. It was like Scott Summers with like Captain America, and then I had like all of the rogues, so like Lobo, maybe Deadpool or Deathstroke.
Oh my god.
And Wolverine, because I want to drive the Boy Scout characters crazy with their opposites.
Hasn't Cyclops been through enough, Kayla? Haven't we talked about that on this podcast?
This-
What are you trying to do?
It would be hilarious.
That's why he went mad. So mine, I'm just gonna wing it again. It's probably never gonna be the same characters. But so these two lovely co-hosts did like research and they were super prepared. And I was like, yeah, they asked me like, hey, what should we prepare or anything? I was like, just look at the questions and prepare if you want to. I kept telling them that. And then I never prepared myself. And we were recording this again and I still didn't prepare. So I'm just going to wing this. So
Nice.
5 characters from any publisher would be Swamp Thing,
Nice.
Detective Chimp,
Oh my god.
Lion Cat, and let's see, probably Clea from Doctor Strange's ex-wife.
Anybody from the Flash family getting in there?
I was about to say Impulse.
Ooh,
Interesting.
Yeah.
that's a good pick.
So, doesn't make sense, and I don't care. I'd love to see it.
Your story is gonna annoy the shit out of people.
Yes.
That's very busy with its monkeys and speedsters and a moving. It's a lot. It'll be cool though. I like it.
All right, go ahead, Jared.
Okay, so what I took it not too seriously, but like I was just like, what story would I want? Because so these aren't necessarily like my favorite characters, but like I just think they would make a cool character or story or whatever. And I think the question was something like it could be from any universe.
Any publisher.
So I was just, any publisher. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make them from all different publishers. So I got Thor. Okay. Haha. Yes. Obviously. Okay. Anyway.
We got it, Jared. It's very on the nose.
And then 4 more Thors. No. No. And then, so Thor, Hellboy, right? Cool. Exo Manowar from Valiant. I don't know if you guys know him. He's super cool. Lobo. Okay. And then this one's kind of maybe out of nowhere. Anissa. And if you don't know who that is,
Invincible.
She's from the she's from the Invincible universe, and she is like she's like the kind of anti-hero, anti-villain, Viltrumite sort of bad guy. She's like a female, butch, badass version of Invincible, and I just think it would be cool. Like, I'd love a story where they're like, like universe hopping, like a bunch of their bad guys would like, I don't know, get a bunch of like infinity gems or keys or reality stones or something like that, and they'd all have to come together.
But it
and,
wouldn't
like,
work.
Do a bunch of dimension.
The infinity
What's
stones
that?
wouldn't work on some of them. Can't work outside
No,
the Marvel
that's
universe.
what I was saying. No, but the way they work, there are reality stones in every universe in the multiverse, in the Marvel universe, and so you could like Loki and like all the bad guys could get their stuff and rescue them and things like that, and they'd have to like go fight him. And then I'm gonna go one better. I'm gonna tell you who's gonna write it. I want Dan Abnett to write it because he's really good at like long protruding plot lines and something really clean and beautiful and cosmic. Andre DeVideo is going to do the art. Bam.
That wasn't part of the
I don't
question.
remember that being part of the question.
Yeah, that's why I got extra credit. That's why I got all A's in comic book high school, guys.
Imaginary. All right, next question. What major crossover event would you consider a must-read? And this is from Tony Walton on Twitter.
I don't remember that question.
It's a new question.
It's a new question. I love it.
No, I hate it.
Kayla, I know. We have to
Kayla
think
can
on
go
our
first.
feet.
No, what was the question again?
What major crossover event would you consider a must-read?
This is really hard because do you pick? I'll help Kayla. Give her some time. Do you pick just your favorite, like what you think is the best written or something like that, or
whatever you want.
But there's also
different members of the Bat Family.
All of the Bat Family crossovers.
There are historically important ones that you could pick.
I will pick. Oh man. I'll probably pick Final Crisis. I mean, I think it's a must read if you're reading contemporary comics, because it's
is crazy.
It's a good transition from what they used to be into what they are now. So, I mean, you should probably read all the other Crises, but I think Final Crisis is really good.
First of all, it's Chrysai, I think is the plural. Who knows? Second of all, it's a good test, too, because if a person reads that and you're like, do you know what's going on? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, well, you're on mushrooms, okay?
Yeah.
Very clearly.
I love it because it's bonkers.
It's psychedelic as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go, Jared.
I'm just going to cop out and pick just what I think is just one of the best of all time. And we actually talked about this on the podcast before. I'm picking the Infinity Gauntlet. That, if you don't know, that's by Jim Starlin and George Perez and Ron Lim. And I don't know. I mean, in some sense, it's a really just isolated story. So it's not like one of these big historical, if you understand this, you understand the Marvel Universe or something like that. But I just think it's very tight. It's 6 issues. It's got a wonderfully efficient plot. The characterization is fantastic. It's even to this day an original story. So yeah, I would, if I was just hey, because the thing is, just briefly, a lot of times when we're here, let's recommend a comic book to a non-comic book reader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are like Saga, which is great, but it's that's not really superhero stuff. So to me, this is one of the best written things that's still well inside the superhero
Well,
wheelhouse. So
everybody's entitled to their weird and wrong opinions, but go, Kayla.
Okay. Well, if I can't pick Robin Wars or Court of Owls with all the Robins in the Bat Family, I'm actually probably going to go with, again, I feel like this is a bit of a cop-out, but the Civil War storylines in Marvel, only because I feel like it's very philosophical. It really it forces you to think about, I don't know, the politics behind superheroes. If they were a real world thing, where do we draw the line? What goes, what's too far, and that type of stuff. And I kind of like how thought provoking it was in that sense.
Yeah, I agree, especially the first one.
Definitely the first one.
Yeah. Okay, so he asked another question, so we might as well get all his questions out of the way. If we could get one animated film based on a comic story written within the last 3 years, what film would it be?
Why is that so specific?
Well, because, it's easier to, I don't know.
Wait, say the question one more time. Sorry.
Okay, so if you could get one animated film based on a comic story written within the last 3 years, what film would it be?
How about Young Loki?
Ooh, that's a nice one. I like that one, actually.
That is good.
Yeah, I would do, probably Immortal Hulk. I think that would be amazing.
Ooh, that is really good, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good pick.
Thanks. I think so, too.
I am sorry. I'm gonna branch out after this question probably, but
if you say Thor, I swear to God.
It is. It really is.
Oh my God.
But again, I told you. I mentioned Hellboy. Okay. Anyway,
good job.
Thank you. But yeah, probably
War of Realms.
Jason Aaron's Thor. Well, so I would be if I had to narrow it down to something like that, because the thing is with Jason Aaron stuff, it feels like 7 years of the same story, but that's probably hard to make one animated movie. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably do God Butcher. His first one with I just think it's such a good it's a good superhero Viking thing, but also a horror story. I just love it. So yeah. I do Thor: God of Thunder, the God Butcher.
All right. So Martin Sanchez on Twitter asked, if you could own a prop from any movie, what would it be? And let's just make it fun. I'm not saying your question's not fun, because I think it's because I could just like get a coat that I really like that I saw an actor from, but like to spice it up, the prop does what it's supposed to do. So like if you got the Infinity Gauntlet, you would have the Infinity Stones and blah blah blah. So
that seems like cheating.
I want Hermione's wand. I want to be a wizard.
Oh my god. Wait, so this is any movie ever, not just...
Yes, any movie.
What?
That's why, see, it's hard.
Ugh, yeah, it is.
Go, Jared.
Yeah, so it is hard. The twist that you added to it is almost worse because I was going to be like, oh, it's going to be Thor's hammer. Guy's so funny. And then I'm like, well, if that shit's real, I'm not going to be able to lift it.
You just stare at it in your house.
So, okay, I'm going to cop out in a big way. I want the goddamn helicarrier. I count that as a prop.
That's a gigantic prop.
My God.
Yeah.
I don't think
and its crew. Yeah. And its crew. I can't do it. It's a lot. I wouldn't even turn it on by myself.
I don't think people are props.
No, but they're connected to this.
No, they're not.
Okay, fine. I got another one.
Oh my God.
The gun from Blade Runner. Bam.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. If I can't have the helicarrier.
Can I just get like the bat plane
Oh,
Nolan trilogy? That way I can just go wherever I want to and it'd be really cheap. I spend so much money on travel.
I like how you guys didn't pick like a teleporter. You guys are like actual transportation that you still have to drive.
Yeah, because you know what a teleporter doesn't have?
The bat plane has autopilot.
True.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And you know what the helicarrier has that teleporters don't? Toilets. Maybe I have. Maybe I need to do some reading.
You could teleport to a toilet. Okay, anyway, moving on. So Martin Sanchez also asked, you can have any Marvel and DC character team up for a miniseries. Who would team up and which villain would they fight?
Oh, I love my answer for this. I'll go.
You go.
So I want Sif and Wonder Woman to team up.
Yes.
And I want them fighting Hela. Because I think that would be an amazing, like, little issue there.
I love that. That's amazing.
Right.
Okay. I want Doctor Strange and
of course.
Clarion the Witch Boy.
Oh my God.
Teaming up. I'm not done, Jared.
Go ahead.
Teaming up
I'll compliment it afterwards.
to fight Malekith. So much magic.
Really
so much magic.
I feel like Clarion and Malekith would really belong. That's the hard part.
Yeah, but Clarion's kind of a good guy most of the time.
He's kind of a good guy. Malekith is not.
Nope.
But yeah, I love it just because of the contrast. Because Doctor Strange and Clarion just couldn't be.
It'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Strange would not like it, by the way. You know, like he wouldn't enjoy it. Okay. Who would they? Oh, they fought Malekith. Okay, cool. I'm going with Moon Knight and Batman for this one.
You mean the same character? That's what you're talking about.
As last time, you guys keep saying that. You know, they haven't heard the other. They don't know this like alternate timeline you guys keep referring to. But anyway, but yeah, it is the same one that I chose before because it's like I said, but mostly because I love Moon Knight. But what I get a little tired of, obviously, is like, especially not even just DC fans, a lot of Marvel fans that don't know Moon Knight will be like, "Oh, it's just Marvel's Batman." It's like if you put them next to each other, they are not alike at all.
By the way, when I said the same character, I meant those characters, not.
See, there you go. even more to the point. I was right in the other direction because I was going to say like Moon Knight is out of his mind and Batman is like super on top of his shit and in control. So there would be a really cool contrast. And who they'd fight, I think you just pick their scary villains. I think that would kind of make a cool sort of thing. So like Scarecrow and Man-Bat would be good. There's a character. What's that?
I said, haha.
Yeah. There's an African warlord character named Bushman that Moon Knight fights, and he's super scary. And then the writer is gonna be
Jared.
Yeah,
come on.
hey, yeah. They want to know. Okay, it's gonna be Christopher Priest, and the
We
artist.
have so many
is
questions to get through.
The artist is Mike Deodato Jr. That's who the artist
job.
is.
Cool.
Okay.
Anyway.
That's great. Yeah, they're listening to this podcast and they appreciate
All
it.
right, next question. What comic book / manga crossover would you most want to see?
I got this.
Go, Kayla. This is your wheelhouse.
Don't say that with that tone. But anyway, it's the Robins, of course, in the My Hero Academia universe. Because if anyone obviously watches or reads My Hero Academia, the main character doesn't have any powers. So I think it'd be cool to bring them the Robins. They could be from like a school in that universe that specializes in heroes without powers, and they would get along with the main character, and I just think it'd be really cool.
Mine would be Raven crossing over with Sailor Moon.
What?
I just love putting like kind of like, I don't know, broody characters with these bright, bubbly characters. I love the dynamic. I just want to see what happens. Like,
Oh my god.
okay, Jared, go.
I have a joke answer.
Go ahead.
So I want One Punch Man and Sentry to do a comic together. And then that comics, One Punch Man punches Sentry in the face and his head explodes. Not like a billion exploding suns, just like one exploding sun. Because if you wrote a billion exploding suns, you would be a fucking idiot. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. But seriously, I hate Sentry and anything that, like, if I can use this crossover to blow his face up, that'd be cool.
All right.
Oh, I see.
So, next question comes from Twitter, from another podcast, Ghosts of the Stratosphere. And they asked, which Lantern Corps would you most excel in?
Indigo, compassion, bam. I feel like that's where I'm at my truest self, my best self, shall I say. So
I agree.
I'm going with Indigo.
I agree. Jared.
Can you speak Indigo Lantern, Kayla?
Knock.
Can you knock? Whatever. Yeah.
All right, Jared, go.
Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go blue.
Damn it.
Straight up blue. Just when we're talking about lanterns. Yeah, I'm a hopeful guy. I feel like, and they do suck in the comics. Let's all be honest there.
No, Flash was one.
Yeah, but he also had super speed.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you're a regular Blue Lantern, the only powers you have, you can like fly and you can fly in space or whatever. But then you can't really do anything unless there are Green Lanterns around.
True.
I don't think that was a good move.
Because they're always hoping there's a Green Lantern around. That way they can use their powers.
Yeah.
All right.
Blue, the color of uselessness. Fantastic. But it's my personality, so.
I mean, the good side of me, or like what I want to be, would be blue. But I think everybody knows.
Oh, God.
And I'd probably be a Red Lantern.
Oh, my goodness.
That makes sense. Because if you're hellish hate.
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable visiting your Red Lantern headquarters.
Why? It's fine. There's just like blood and fire everywhere. There's a cat. There's a named Daxstar. He's cool.
It would just be a very aggressive interior decorating situation, I feel.
All right. Next question comes from Capes on the Couch. I love this podcast. I'm just going to plug them real quick. It's really cool. They have two people on there, and they talk about the psychology of comic book characters and comics because there's an actual psychologist on there. Really cool podcast. Definitely check them out. And they asked if you could remake any comic story with a different writer / artist, what story and which creators would you choose?
I've been waiting my entire life to be asked this question.
Go ahead.
All right. So there's this story called Batman Nightwing, and it's called Bloodborne. Basically, they're stranded in Russia, Siberia, and then Batman's been like poisoned with the virus, and Nightwing has to try to save him. And I love Bruce and Dick's dynamic so much. But, and this is just my opinion, and most people in the universe agree, the art and the writing but especially the art is so bad. I can't even look at the panels. Sometimes you don't even know what's happening. You're staring at a panel and you're like, what is that supposed to be? Is that lasagna or a mountain? What's happening?
A mountain of lasagna.
But yeah, I would really like this story to be rewritten and redrawn. And I think Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, who of course did the New 52 Batman for a long time, would be perfect because I feel like they got the dynamic between Bruce and Dick really, really, like they understood that dynamic. So
they're like,
please do that, guys.
They're like my definitive Batman team. I love his artwork and I love his writing. I love Scott Snyder's writing like almost all the time, even outside of DC. Amazing. I love it. Read Witches. It's great. Oh, man. I can't even remember the answer that I gave, and I know it was a good one. Oh, man.
You want me to go while you think about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So mine, I'm going with Civil War II because to me, it's just like the mother of all missed opportunities. If you read it, it was really, to me, I thought pretty lackluster. But the premise is really, really good, which is like sort of similar thing that Kayla was describing in terms of like, I really like the idea. Mm-hmm. And it was, Brian Michael Bendis wrote this. And I kind of pin it on him. I think he's a good writer in certain respects, but like, I don't think that he's really good at events, like big events, because I don't think plot is his strength. I think he's a much better like characterization guy, a much better dialogue guy. He's way more like Kevin Smith in that respect. And the reason being is that the whole story was about like sort of the kind of Minority Report scenario. The Marvel heroes use the power of this Inhuman who can predict the future to sort of like, and they have to decide whether they're going to work on that information and affect the time stream or not. And it ends up being Tony Stark versus Carol Danvers in this way. But I just thought he wasn't particularly good at working out either like the kind of philosophical implications about like whether it's wrong to, predict the future and what would it mean if we could predict our future and change our future, things like that. So, I think a better writer would be better suited. A guy like Warren Ellis, who I think is actually really good with like big cosmic events and not getting off into this miasmic, what the hell are you talking about territory. So he's a good like philosophical but grounded dude. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the artist was David Marquez. I have no problem with the art, but just to go with a guy who I think is a little bit more like Ellis or would fit, and I'd like to see work with him, would be like Gary Frank. Mm-hmm. He's just a beautiful writer. He did a lot, like really wonderful work on Superman. So yeah, that's what I'd do.
Nice. So I would really like to see, because I love Brian K. Vaughan's Runaways, and I would love for him to. I want to just get the Saga team and just put them on Teen Titans or Titans. Oh my God. Like, because I feel like it would bring like some type of like maturity to it and also like batshit craziness. And then the artwork would be amazing. So Fiona Staples on artwork and then Brian K. Vaughan writing it, I think it would be amazing. And I don't know, it would, I just feel like Titans and Teen Titans has not been good in the last like 15 years. So like, I just want something good.
You mean ever since Damian was on the team?
Hey,
I agree.
You know what?
Also, I love that you put Brian K. Vaughan on the Teen Titans, which means you're trying to kill a lot of the Teen Titans.
Yeah, probably just like...
I know, I'm kind of side-eyeing Noah's view. Okay, they're children, but that's fine.
It'd be fine. Hey, I said or Titans, so like older children.
You get Brian K. Vaughan on it, but he has to sign a contract. It's like, no killing. Can't kill nobody.
Won't do it then. All right, moving on. So this is also from Twitter. There is an account, Let's Talk Invincible. Yes, about the Invincible comic. I love the person that runs this account. I love that account. If you love Invincible, definitely follow them. Let's Talk Invincible. And they asked, what is our favorite comic-related possession? It would probably be, I have a Flash statue where he's like in mid-run from Francis Manapul. I love it so much. It's like,
it's a really good looking statue too.
I love it. So that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, it's super cool. That statue. Yeah. What about you, Kayla?
Mine's Is it weird if I say it's my Harley Quinn hammer that I made for my cosplay?
No, not
It's
at
so
all.
big, but
It's
I was
amazing.
so proud of it.
You should be. It's so cool. Oh man, if y'all, I'm sure people have seen it. I think actually I posted it for your birthday on the podcast stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Your cosplay for Harley Quinn is amazing. And Nightwing. Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Jared?
Can you read the question specific? I want to hear the language of the question again.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Okay. What's y'all's favorite comic related possession?
Okay, I was trying to. Do I possess my dog? Because my dog is named Loki. It's like, do I technically possess him? He is. If not, I'm gonna pick. I have the entire Walt Simonson single issue Thor run. And I don't even know. Are we allowed to pick comic books? Are comic books related to comic books? It's hard to say.
I don't think so.
But I'm gonna. Okay, so if I can't pick comic books. It's a bit of a cop out, but I really do. I have a Thor Loki statue. It's based off the work of Esad Ribic. And it's one of those things where it looks so well. It's like your Francis Menopole Flash, where it just looks like they pulled the 3-dimensional characters out of the page.
Wait, send me a picture of it after we're done recording.
For sure.
It's really
absolutely.
cool.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So another podcast that I really like, the Biology of Superheroes podcast. So they talk about like the actual biology of superheroes. They're really cool, very well researched podcast. Check them out. I feel like I'm plugging a lot of. I don't care. These guys are amazing. So they asked out of the group who would have the most street cred at San Diego Comic-Con.
Well,
Kayla.
that's an obvious answer. Me.
Yeah, Kayla. Kayla would. She's been there. We just said she dressed up as Harley Quinn and Nightwing. I mean, like, come on.
I also have a Jean Grey Dark Phoenix costume, so.
Oh, there you go. I mean, it's so easy.
Maybe, but I would go there and I would sell drugs. So it's like,
Of course.
is my street cred greater than? No, okay.
All right. So stupid. So this was asked. It's not comic book related per se, but would we consider doing a Harry Potter episode?
Yes.
That's not comic related at all. Not just per se.
I'm kind of in a mini obsession with Harry Potter right now ever since I got back from London. There was so much Harry Potter stuff. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
So
I'm
yeah,
currently
perfect.
wearing Harry Potter pajamas.
Hold on, do I get a vote?
No.
I mean, even
Okay.
if you did, you'd be outnumbered.
It's true.
Well, hold on. Let's just see how it goes, Kayla. Okay, just real quick. You guys vote. I'll vote. I'm gonna vote no. What do you guys?
Yes.
Wait, how do you vote?
Yes.
You both yays. Let's count it up real quick. Okay. Okay, it was very close. I think we should do a recount. No, I'm just playing. Okay. No, I don't know anything about Harry Potter, but I would definitely do. I would be on the episode. I would bring nothing to the table.
Yeah, you'd just be
We
listening.
probably couldn't. We probably couldn't do we couldn't release it like we normally do, but I'd totally be down for doing like some sort of special Patreon episode about it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. We could have.
Here's my.
We could have.
Go ahead.
Jared take the house quiz to see which one he's in.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
As like a bonus answer, I'm Ravenclaw. Just saying.
I am Slytherin.
Here's my impression of me on that episode. What? Phoenix feathers in a wand? That's crazy, you guys.
I think you're totally dragon heartstring, by the way.
Yeah, I think so too.
Ooh. What is that?
You'll find
It's
out.
another thing that the wand core could be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like a house. I'm really worried that I'm going to be in like the special ed house, whatever that is.
Hufflepuff.
Kringle Bingle or whatever.
Hey.
Sorry, okay.
All right, next
There are
question.
no bad houses.
That's true. Except,
Hell yeah.
J.K. Rowling just decided not to write about Hufflepuffs.
Wah, wah.
All right. Did I ask this? I don't know if I asked this. So Lawrence Keating on Twitter asked, if you could be a superhero for a day, who would you pick?
Be a superhero.
For one day. God, I don't know. That's so hard because
I know what mine is.
It's one day.
I know what mine is.
Okay, say it
I know
then.
what it
Jeez.
is. I know what mine is. It's
Is it Thor?
Here's No, that's crazy. I think because I would love to be Thor. Everybody knows that. Everybody does. But Thor's got like a kingdom and responsibilities. Thor's very busy. And I don't want to have a fantasy where I also am very busy. So I'm going to be post-emancipation Silver Surfer, and for two reasons. One, super powerful, awesome, does everything. But, and this is what I really thought about, if you leave the Earth, a day stretches into infinity because you're no longer bound by the, complete, everything's, and you start moving at the speed of light the way he can, and then like it just, so forever. I'm Silver Surfer forever.
Jared broke the question.
Next. You broke the question. I would probably be Dr. Fate.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. It sounds intense.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Batgirl Barbara Gordon so I can make out with Nightwing for the day.
Oh, what? No, I changed mine.
Nope, you already locked in your answer.
I want to be
already locked in your
I want to be Midnighter so that way I can make out with Nightwing.
I will punch you in the face. Back off.
So, next question. Let's see. Oh, we're getting close to the end here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Don't skip any.
I'm not.
I know how you like
skipping any. Jeez. All right. So, who exudes big dick energy?
What? Like character or us?
Us.
Noah.
That's crazy. I definitely think it's Kayla. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can't be a tiebreaker because I'm one of the things.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, who do you think that you exude big dick energy, Noah?
I don't know, because the first time we recorded this, both of you said me.
I mean, maybe both of you. I mean, I will say, like, Noah will fight people in the parking lot of a grocery
That's
store.
what I'm saying. He's the angry one.
I don't know if big dick energy translates to rage, but fair enough. Yeah, why not?
God. Anyway, next question. So, I had retweeted this on my personal account and on Twitter, and a podcast that follows me that I interact sometimes with. They're called Thanks for Coming. It's an LGBTQ podcast, and they asked if I will marry them. I'm assuming marry the podcast.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm already committed to this podcast. I don't think I could handle.
Have like a podcast marrying the other podcast or something later.
What kind of baby would that make? It's probably like some true crime podcast.
I don't like the idea of like poly podcasting. I don't like it. Because I'm a Christian, and it's not a podcast.
All right. So this next question by Carlos Hauser, he asked, what comic book character or characters would you like to see on the big screen that haven't been used yet? So they could have not been in a movie prior. Has to be completely fresh. Oh, God.
Oh, I have one. All the Robins together.
Hey, they've been in a movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was Robin, so
no,
can't you?
He was not. No.
Your middle name's Robin. That's nice. I'm like, really? Really? Is it nice, Christopher Nolan? Okay.
I literally like moaned out loud in the middle of the theater, like, no. I was suffering through that entire movie, and then that happened, and I was like, no, that's just the cherry on top.
I'm gonna go with Animal Man. Buddy Baker.
That's a good pick.
I know, that's why I said it.
Look, honestly, I've like had problems with this because, like, last time we did it, it occurred to me that it's like they've announced everything is going to happen now. It really feels that way. Like characters that you like thought were never going to be translated or whatever. Like I think there's a Nova movie that's coming, or at least he's probably going to be featured in the MCU. I think they're talking about Moon Knight is going to be translated.
It's no thinking. They're announced.
Yeah, I don't look. I mean, it's different. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's different now because there's just more assurance. I'm from the old school when they said a movie was going to happen and it was a comic book character, it didn't. You know what I mean? Like it was just until stuff was in post production, I was like, it's not going to happen. Anyway, but I'd go with The Authority, honestly, because they have not done it yet. They haven't translated it yet. I mean, Noah would be happy because you get some Midnighter and Apollo. But that whole team is really amazing and interesting. And if you don't know the story, it's just the idea of like, what if the Justice League or something like them, the Avengers, were actually political? Like, in other words, like you ask questions like, why don't they ever stop dictators in the Justice League? Why is it just comets? Why don't they? And so the Authority does, and it's just a really inherently interesting story. And it's Warren Ellis, so that's what I want to see on the big screen.
That's what most general audiences want. They want more politics in these superhero movies because, like, they're like, why are you making everything political? Well, I don't know, maybe because it's already political. Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
So this one comes from Twitter as well. If you guys could have any comic writer write one of your favorites from any company, what writer and what character would be in it? And then Wes Robertson also asked, also on Patreon, same guy that asked the other question. He said, bonus question, who would be on art? So thanks for teaming up and making this question harder, guys.
This is more, I'm going to treat it like a pitch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, actually, I really want to see this happen. I would call the series Meet the Bloodstones. And yeah, it's really cool. If you guys don't know, there's an obscure but consistently appearing character in Marvel called Ulysses Bloodstone, and he's a monster hunter, and he's got like kind of like Spider-Man level kind of physical powers, and he's kind of supposedly immortal because he has this magic artifact called the Bloodstone, embedded in his chest. But he's also got a protege in his daughter and his son, Elsa Bloodstone, and the youngest, Cullen Bloodstone. And it would be so cool to have a writer like approach this like it would be like a Swiss Family Robinson meets a Van Helsing sort of situation where they would sort of go around in the Marvel universe and like, fight like and capture Man-Thing and like Fing Fang Foom and shit like that. Anyway, and I think, it would be really cool. And I think that it would be cool if it had like kind of like a sort of fun comedy but horror tone or whatever. Anyway, and I think that this guy, I don't know if you guys know him, Tinny Howard. And actually, the name is spelled Tini. I don't know if they're a man or a woman. I actually don't. I just have read their work, and they're yeah, exactly, or neither, or both, or what have you. But their work is amazing, and really good at sort of capturing that like funny but I still take this story seriously tone. And I think for the art, I would love Ryan Otley, who's the guy who famously did Invincible. So amazing. So is also really good at just that tone, which is like real emotional stakes, like dramatic, scary, even action, but fun and funny too. So I'd go there. That'd be mine.
I'm going to go with Mr. Miracle because I need more Mr. Miracle in my life. And I would want Warren Ellis to write it. And then, who could be on art for this? Mitch Gerrits was so good with Mr. Miracle. It's hard to be like, not him. Oh, man. Actually, I would like to see Jenny Fearson. She's the one that's been doing, I don't know if you guys know her, maybe some of the listeners do, but she's been doing a lot of the variant covers for Wonder Woman. So if you've seen the ones where it's, Wonder Woman and like her outfit's kind of, muted a bit, but then her lasso is like super bright. Amazing artwork. I'd love to see like an entire book of her or an entire run. I know it might take a while to come out because her artwork is super detailed, but I just think like Mr. Miracle with the grittiness and the psychedelic and the cosmic stuff with her artwork, and then the craziness of Warren Ellis writing it, I think would be great. And it's a lot of political stuff, so it's right up his alley.
I want Gail Simone to come back onto Batgirl with Barbara, and then do like a duo series with Batgirl and Nightwing, because I feel like he just has random girlfriends a lot of the times in his own comics. And it's like, oh, but don't forget Starfire. Oh, but don't forget Barbara. And I'm like, no, we need this Babs and Dick streamlined relationship. I think Gail Simone can do it, of course, with guest appearances by the Bat family. And then the artist, I cannot remember how to pronounce her name. It's like Bilquis like Evely. She is also famous kind of for her Wonder Woman artwork. So I think it's very beautiful. Beautiful thing. I would definitely read this. Please make it happen, Gail.
Hell yeah.
I'd read all those comics.
Nice. Okay, so we're pretty much on our last question here. So, what was the question? Sorry. Okay. It says, who are the tops, bottoms, and verses in Marvel and DC?
I saw this question. There's obviously too many characters. We can't answer it.
No, I know I can answer it. Villains are tops, heroes are bottoms, and anti-heroes are verse. Bam. That's that question.
Yay, we did it, guys.
Yay.
I think we answered all of them. It's spread across a bunch of different social media platforms. So if we missed your question, send it to us again, and we will answer it on social media. I apologize if I did not see it or didn't get to it, but we recorded this, and I'm sure I answered it the first time, and you didn't get to hear it. But we will answer them on social media. Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's our anniversary special, guys. We pretty much did a whole hour of answering your questions. It was a lot of fun.
Here's to another year.
Yay! All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at the FANtom Zone Pod for more podcast updates.